Step away from her turns. Step back, right now. She's breathing. Get water, get the conductor. Don't crowd her. You don't touch her. Then help me, Sen. Water, now.
Easy. You fainted. You're on the train. You're safe.
Oh.
Just breathe. You're all right.
Don't let them have it.
She's out again. Give her air. Nobody moves her.
The folder?
Yeah.
Still yours. Nobody touched it.
The rain came sideways against the windows of the midnight train, and in the narrow corridor between cars, a porter stopped dead and pointed at a man kneeling on the floor. "Step away from her, right now." The man did not move. He was a mechanic, grease still under his nails, a blue shop rag hanging from his back pocket, and he was holding a woman's head off the cold steel so it would not strike the door track as the train rocked. She was pale as paper, expensive coat, a leather folder clutched against her chest even now, even senseless, her knuckles white around it. Her eyes fluttered, found his, and before the porter could reach them, before anyone could pull him away, she pulled him down by the collar and breathed 4 words into his ear. "Don't let them have it." Then she was gone again, limp, and the whole car was shouting at once. Nathan Cole had spent 5 years learning how to be quiet. It was not a thing he was proud of. It was only a thing that had kept him alive. He had learned it the night the doctors came out of the room, with their mouths already arranged into sympathy, and he had opened his to argue, and nothing had come. He had learned it standing at Sarah's grave, while her mother said the thing she would never take back, that if he had spoken up sooner, if he had made the appointment he kept meaning to make, if he had not been so sure it was only tiredness. He had learned that words spent too late are worse than no words at all. So he stopped spending them. He fixed engines instead. Engines did not need to be talked to. They only needed to be understood, and he was very good at understanding things that could not speak. That was why he was on the overnight express to begin with, at 41 years old, riding the line he serviced, because the day shift had called in short, and the pay was double after midnight, and double was what a clinic visit cost. His daughter Nora was 7. She had a cough that had not left in 3 weeks, a cough that woke her at 2 in the morning and left her small shoulders shaking, and the clinic that would actually look at her, really look, with the machine that took pictures of the lungs, wanted more than a mechanic made in a week. So he took the double shift. He rode the train through the rain with a number written on the back of his hand in blue ballpoint, the clinic's number, so he could call the moment they opened at 8. He had been walking back from the rear car with a wrench in his hand when the woman came through the vestibule too fast, one hand out for a rail that was not there, and folded to the floor without a sound. Now he knelt over her while strangers argued above his head, and he did the only thing he knew how to do. He stayed calm. He turned her gently onto her side. He loosened the top button at her throat with 2 fingers, no more. And he said to the porter, quietly, "She's breathing. Get water. Get the conductor. Don't crowd her. You don't touch her," the porter said again, but softer now, because the man on the floor was not behaving like a thief. Thieves rush. This one had slowed everything down. The woman's name, they would all learn, was Audrey Vance. She was 38 and she ran a company that 600 people depended on to make rent. And she had not slept more than 4 hours a night in 11 days. She had not eaten since a breakfast she could not now remember. She had boarded this train because flying left a record, and she needed, for one night, to be a woman no one was watching. Her body had simply run out. There was nothing broken in her that rest would not mend. A doctor would say as much before morning. But a body collected too much, and it presented the bill all at once, and hers had chosen the corridor of a midnight train to do it. She came back slowly, the mechanic's face resolved above her, unhurried, unafraid. The first thing she was aware of, before her own name, was that her arms still held the folder. The second was that this stranger had not tried to take it. "You fainted," he said. "You're on the train. You're safe." The folder. she whispered. Still yours, he said. Nobody's touched it. Can you sit up? She could. He braced her back with one flat hand and let her do the work of it herself. And she noticed that too, that he gave her the dignity of rising rather than lifting her like freight. The porter hovered with a paper cup. Audrey drank. Color came back into her by degrees, and with the color came the thing she wore like the coat, composure, drawn up over the exhaustion like a blind pulled down. I'm fine, she said, to the car, to the porter, to everyone. Thank you. I'm fine. She was not fine, and the mechanic knew it, but he did not say so. He only reached into his back pocket, took out the blue shop rag, folded it once into a square, and set it on the seat cushion beside her. For under your head, if you lie down again, he said. It's clean, just old. Then he stood, picked up his wrench, and went to find the conductor, leaving her there holding a folder no one had grabbed, and a folded blue cloth she had not asked for, and did not, for reasons she could not name, want to give back. The conductor moved Audrey to a private sleeper cabin, and because regulations required that a staff member confirm she was well before the train made its next stop, and because the mechanic was the one who had found her, Nathan was the one sent to check on her at the top of each hour. He did not want the job. He wanted the quiet of the engine, and the number on his hand, and the 8 o'clock that was still 6 hours away. But the conductor said the word overtime, and overtime was a lung machine, so he knocked on the cabin door at midnight, and again at 1, and each time she said, I'm well, thank you, through the door, in a voice built to end conversations. At 2 he knocked and there was no answer, and his hand was on the door before he thought about it. 5 years of the wrong kind of quiet, standing up all at once, and he opened it to find her not fainted but awake, sitting up in the dark with the folder on her knees and her face wet, and turned to the black window where the rain ran sideways. She did not startle, she had heard him. She simply did not bother, this time, to pull the blind down over herself. I keep thinking someone will come through that door, she said, and take it while I sleep. So I don't sleep. A short, tired laugh with no humor in it. That's a fine way to run a life. Nathan stood in the doorway. He should say, I'm well, thank you back to her, close the door, walk away. That was the safe thing. Instead, he looked at the folder, and at her hands on it, and he said the first full sentence he had chosen to say to a stranger in a long time. What's in it that's worth not sleeping for? She looked at him a long moment, measuring, the way the powerful learn to measure. Then something in her, the exhaustion maybe, or the fact that he had folded a rag for her head instead of taking what she held, decided he was safe in the specific way that only strangers on trains are safe. Everything, she said. 11 years of everything. My company's about to be bought out from under it by a man who's very good at making the truth look like whatever he needs it to look like. There's a board vote in the morning. These are the documents that stop him. Signed, sealed. The only complete set. She smoothed the leather with her thumb. He knows I have them. He knows I'm on this train. And he has a great deal of money for people who'd like a great deal of money. Nathan considered this. He was a man who understood things that could not speak. And a sealed folder was only another kind of engine. You looked at what it was built to do, and you understood it fine. Then you shouldn't be holding it where everyone can see you hold it, he said. Audrey almost smiled. Every consultant I've ever paid told me the opposite. Keep it close. Never let it out of your sight. Then every consultant you've ever paid never watched a man carry money on a train, Nathan said. You carry it in your hands. You tell every thief in the car exactly where it is. You carry it like it's nothing, like it's your lunch. And nobody looks twice. He paused. The loud ones are the ones you watch. The dangerous ones don't make a sound. She was quiet after that. Then, you talk like a man who's been robbed. No, he said, and left it there, because the truth was that he had robbed himself, once, of the only words that would have mattered. And he was not going to hand that to a stranger, no matter how safe the train. He set a fresh cup of water on the little fold-down table. On his way out, he glanced up, from long habit, at the small black dome in the corner of the corridor ceiling. The cabin camera, its single red pin light glowing steady in the dark, the way it glowed on every camera, on every platform, and in every car of the line he serviced. He knew those cameras. He had rewired half of them himself. He knew exactly what they saw, and exactly how long they kept it. He did not think about it then. He only noticed it, the way a mechanic notices a sound, and filed it away, and closed the door. She slept, finally, somewhere past 3, because a man she did not know had told her the safest way to hold a thing was to stop guarding it so hard, and because, without deciding to, she believed him. She woke because the door was open again. Not the mechanic this time. A different silhouette filled the frame, taller, wearing a suit that had not been slept in, and the smell reached her before the face did. Cologne, expensive, arriving like an announcement. Marcus Hale wore his cologne the way he wore everything, a half step ahead of himself, so that the room knew he was coming before he was in it. "Audrey," he said, warm as a fireplace. "You look exhausted. I heard you collapsed. I came the moment I heard." "You're on this train," she said. Her hand had already found the folder in the dark. "I'm on this train because you're on this train, and because in about 5 hours a room full of frightened people is going to make a decision they don't want to make, and I would so much rather they made it as friends." He sat, uninvited, on the edge of the opposite bunk. He steepled his fingers. He was, she had to admit, very good at this. The calm, the reason, the sorrow for your sake. "Give me the folder, Audrey. I'll make it worth more than you can imagine. You keep your name on the door. You keep your salary. You keep your dignity. All I need is the paper. It's not for sale. Everything is for sale. That's not cynicism, that's just Tuesday." He smiled. "You're tired. You fainted in a corridor. Do you really want to spend the last strength you have holding a folder shut? Let me carry it for a while. Let me carry all of it." And here was the thing about Marcus Hale. He believed himself. He genuinely could not conceive of a person who would not, in the end, take the money, because he had never once in his life met a thing he couldn't buy, and so he had decided such things did not exist. "Get out of my cabin," Audrey said. He got out, but at the door he paused, and the warmth cooled by exactly 1 degree. Not enough to call anger, just enough to be a promise. "Sleep on it," he said. "You'll see sense by morning. Tired people always do." The door slid shut. His cologne stayed a while, the way it did, and Audrey sat in it and shook. Nathan found her like that at his 4 o'clock knock. He did not ask what had happened. He looked at the door, and at her face, and at the way her hands had gone white on the leather again, and he understood the engine of it fine. "The tall one," he said. "Cologne you could stand a spoon up in. You saw him. I smell him in the corridor every time he passes the engine door. Man announces himself." Nathan crouched down to her level, the way he did with Nora when the cough was bad and the dark was big. "He offered you money. A great deal of it. And I said no. And now I don't know if the no will survive till morning, because I am so tired I can't feel my own hands. And there's a camera in the corner, and I don't even know whose side it's on." A crack in the voice, quickly sealed. "I'm sorry. You have your own night. You didn't sign up to sit with a stranger falling apart on a train." "No," Nathan agreed. "I signed up for a lung machine." She looked at him. "My girl," he said. And it surprised him to say it, the way the full sentences kept surprising him tonight, like a tool he'd set down years ago and found still fit his hand. "Nora, she's 7. She's got a cough that won't quit. There's a clinic with a machine that'll tell us why, and the machine costs more than I make. So I took the double shift, and here I am. That's the number." He turned his hand over and showed her the blue ballpoint on his palm, smudged now but still readable. "I call them at 8. Audrey looked at the number written on a working man's hand and felt something turn over in her chest that had nothing to do with fainting. "You could have that number paid in full by tomorrow," she said slowly, "if you walked out of here and told the tall man which cabin I'm in and when I sleep." "I could," Nathan said. "Why won't you?" And Nathan was quiet for a moment. Not the old quiet, the coward's quiet, but a chosen one. And then he said the truest thing he knew. "Because I already know what it costs to trade the right thing for the easy thing," he said. "I paid it once, I'm still paying." He stood. He picked up his rag from where she'd kept it folded on the table. Loud people usually don't mean it. He came in here soft and warm, and told you he was your friend, and every word was for sale. You said one hard word and meant it all the way down. He almost smiled. I know which of you I'd trust with an engine. He left her the water. He glanced once at the red pin light in the corner, and this time he did think about it. At 4:30, the train stopped at a platform that was barely a platform, a single lamp, a shelter, rain sheeting off a tin roof, and in the 2 minutes the doors stood open. 3 men in good coats came aboard who did not look like men who rode the 4:30 local. Nathan watched them from the engine door. They did not look at destinations. They looked at car numbers. They looked at cabin doors. He knew then that the tall man was done being warm. He went to Audrey's cabin, not to knock and wait, but to open it and say, low and fast, "Get up. Now. Bring the folder. Don't ask." To her enormous credit, she did not ask. She was on her feet with the leather against her chest before he'd finished the sentence, coat over her shoulders, and he moved her down the corridor away from the 3 good coats, through the vestibule where the rain roared in the gap between cars, into the dining car that ran dark and empty at this hour with the fluorescent tube over the counter flickering its slow, sick pulse. Cold coffee sat abandoned in a cup on a table, a skin gone gray across the top of it. The whole car smelled of old grease and rain and the sharp tang of the flickering light. "They'll search the sleepers first," he said. "Cabins have doors. This doesn't. Nobody hides in the open. That buys us a few minutes." He was already moving to the far end, to the little service alcove where the coffee urns lived, where a mechanic's hands knew there was a panel, and behind the panel a space. "Give me the folder." And Audrey, who had held that folder through a feint and a night and a bribe, who had been told by every consultant she'd ever paid to never let it leave her sight, looked at the man asking and handed it over. He did not open it. He did not so much as glance inside. He slid the panel, laid the folder flat in the dark behind it, and closed it up. And the trust of that he sealed away 11 years of her life without once looking at what he was sealing, did more to steady her than anything anyone had said to her in a month. "Now we sit," he said, "and we drink terrible coffee, and we're 2 strangers who couldn't sleep. Loud people announce themselves. We're going to be very, very quiet." They had barely sat when the cologne arrived. Marcus came into the dining car flanked by 2 of the good coats, and the warmth was gone now, burned off entirely, and what stood in its place was a man who had never in his life been told no by something he couldn't buy, and had decided, at last, that the thing must simply be broken instead. "There she is." He crossed the swaying floor. The fluorescent tube flickered across his face. On, off, on. And her mechanic. He stopped at their table. He looked at Audrey's empty hands, at the coffee cups, and a muscle worked in his jaw. "Where is it?" "Good morning, Marcus," Audrey said. "Where is the folder, Audrey?" "I don't know what you mean." He struck the table with his palm. The cold coffee jumped in its cup. And the composure, the fireplace warmth, the steepled fingers, the "it's just Tuesday" smile, all of it went at once, and what came out was loud, was ugly, was a man raging in an empty dining car at 4:30 in the morning. "You think I came this far to lose to a woman who faints in corridors? Do you have any idea what I've spent? Do you have any idea who I've paid? Give me the folder, or I will have these men take this train apart cabin by cabin, and I will make sure your little vote never—" "Marcus." Audrey's voice did not rise. It went, if anything, quieter, and the quiet of it cut clean through the shouting. "You're yelling on a train." "I am talking." "You're yelling," she said. "On a train, in front of witnesses, about documents you say don't concern you, offering to take apart cabins that aren't yours to search." She folded her hands on the table, the way he had folded his in her cabin, and gave it back to him. "Dignity does not shout, Marcus. You never did understand that. You thought the loudest man in the room was the one who won. But I grew up watching quiet people carry the whole world on their backs and never once raise their voice." Her eyes flicked, just once, to Nathan, and back. "The dangerous ones don't make a sound. You just told this entire car exactly what you are." And Nathan, who had said almost nothing this whole time, who had sat there being a mechanic who couldn't sleep, chose that moment to lift his eyes, past Marcus, past the good coats, to the corner of the dining car ceiling, to the small black dome and its single steady red pin light. "You should know," Nathan said, and his voice was so level it stopped even Marcus, "that I service this line. Every car, every platform. I've had my hands in half the cameras on this railroad." He nodded up at the red light. "That one's recording. So's the one in the vestibule you just came through. So's the one on the platform where your 3 friends boarded at 4:30, which keeps its footage 90 days, time-stamped, and can't be reached from any cabin on this train." He set his cold coffee down. "You've been talking for 4 minutes. All of it's on there. The threats, the men you brought, the search you promised. Every word. You announced yourself, Mr. Hale. You always do." The dining car went very still. The fluorescent tube flickered on, off, on. The rain roared in the vestibule gap, and Marcus Hale, for the first time in his adult life, understood that he had walked loudly into a room that had been quietly waiting for him. He did not shout again. That was the worst of it, for him, that the fight went out, not in a bang, but in a slow gray understanding, like the skin forming over cold coffee. He looked at the red light. He looked at the mechanic who serviced the cameras. He looked at the woman who had never raised her voice. And he did the arithmetic of a man who has always trusted arithmetic. And the arithmetic said, "Leave." "This isn't finished," he said. But it was. And the emptiness in the words gave him away. And he knew it. And he turned and walked his good coats out of the dining car and did not look back. Audrey let out a breath she seemed to have been holding for 11 years. "The cameras," she said. "Are they really?" "Every word," Nathan said. "That part was true. All of it." He almost smiled. "I didn't need to be sure the folder would save you. I just needed him to be loud enough to give himself away. And men like that always are." He couldn't imagine a room he couldn't shout down. He went to the service panel, slid it open, and drew out the leather folder, untouched, unopened, exactly as she'd handed it to him. "Here, it never left. I told you, you hold a thing like it's nothing. Nobody looks twice." She took it. She held it a moment. Then, deliberately, she set it down on the table between them, unclutched, out of her hands for the first time in a night and a day, and left it there, because she was not afraid of it being taken anymore. "Why?" she said. "The truth this time, not the mechanic answer. You could have told him where I was. You could have handed him the folder yourself. Your daughter's clinic, paid in a day. Why did you stand between a stranger and the easiest money you'll ever be offered?" Nathan sat down across from her. The train ran on through the last of the dark, and this time, when he opened his mouth, the words did not fail him. "My wife had a cough that wouldn't quit," he said. "Like Nora's. 3 weeks. 4. And I kept saying it was tiredness. It was the season. We'd see someone when things settled down. I kept quiet. I didn't want to make a fuss. I didn't want to spend the money on nothing." He turned the empty coffee cup a slow quarter turn on the table. "It wasn't nothing. By the time I stopped keeping quiet, it was too late to be anything but a funeral. And her mother said, she said if I'd spoken up sooner. And she was right. And I've never once told her she was right, because I couldn't get the words out then either." He looked up. "I spent 5 years thinking the lesson was to stay quiet. Keep your head down. Words spent too late are worse than none. And I was wrong. The lesson was never about being quiet. It was about meaning it, about knowing which words are worth the cost, and spending those, all the way, no matter what they take from you." He nodded at the folder on the table. "You said one hard word to a man with a great deal of money, and you meant it all the way down. I've spent 5 years unable to say the hard words at all. Tonight, I wanted to be a man who could." He shrugged, the smallest motion. "I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just telling you the truth of it." Audrey Vance had been lied to by experts. She had been flattered and courted and offered the world by men who studied her the way Marcus studied her, for the lever that would move her. And she knew, sitting in that flickering dining car with cold coffee between them and rain in the dark, that this was none of those things. This was a man who had finally paid a debt to himself. "I believe you," she said. The morning came the color of ash, and then, slowly, of pearl. The 3 good coats got off at the next real station and did not come back. Marcus was gone before the sun, and somewhere past 6, when the danger had drained out of the night and left only the tiredness, Audrey opened her handbag and took out a square of white paper and began, without quite explaining herself, to fold it. "My father made these," she said, creasing, turning, creasing. "Cranes. He worked a printing floor 40 years and never made more than a foreman. And he never once raised his voice. And when I was small, and the world was too big, he'd sit and fold paper into birds until my hands stopped shaking." Her fingers moved, sure and old with the memory. "He used to say the loudest thing in any room was the man most afraid of being found out. I forgot that for a while. I run a company. You learn to answer loud with loud. Tonight I remembered." She set the finished crane on the table beside the folder. Small, white, perfectly made, its corners soft where her fingers had worked them. "He'd have liked you." Nathan looked at the crane a long moment. Then he reached over, took a paper napkin from the dispenser, and, clumsy, unpracticed, his mechanic's hands too big for it, began to fold. He got it wrong twice. Audrey did not offer to help. She gave him the dignity of doing it himself, the way he'd given her the dignity of rising. On the third try, the shape came, lopsided, a crane made by a man who'd never made one, and he set it down next to hers. 2 cranes on a dining car table. One folded by a woman who ran the world and had almost lost it. One folded by a man who fixed the trains she ran it on. Neither of them said anything about what they meant. Some things you fold instead of say. At 8 o'clock exactly, Nathan called the number off the back of his hand. He stepped into the vestibule where the rain had finally stopped, and he made the appointment, and his voice did not fail him. When he came back, Audrey was standing at the window with the folder under her arm, the way you'd carry a newspaper, like it was nothing, like it was her lunch. "The vote's at 10, she said. "I'll make it. Thanks to you, I'll make it with the only complete set and a recording of Marcus Hale threatening to take apart a train." A small, real smile, the first he'd seen from her that reached all the way. "He'll be gone by noon. 600 people will make rent, and none of them will ever know it came down to a mechanic who folded a rag under a stranger's head and wouldn't be bought." "Doesn't matter if they know," Nathan said. "No," she agreed. "It doesn't." She reached into the leather folder, carefully past the sealed documents, and drew out a plain business card and a pen, and she wrote something on the back, and she folded it once, the way you'd fold something you meant, and held it out to him. "For Nora," she said. "The machine. The whole course of it. Whatever it turns out to be. However long it takes. Not charity. I don't insult a man who wouldn't be bought by offering to buy him now. It's a debt. You paid something for me tonight that you'd been owed for 5 years, and I pay my debts." When he did not take it right away, she added, quietly, "You told me loud people don't mean it. I'm not going to be loud about this. I'm just going to mean it." He took the card. He did not make a fuss. He folded it once more, into a smaller square, and put it in his shirt pocket over his heart, the way you'd carry a thing worth carrying. And he said, "Thank you," and that was all. And it was enough, because in this story, the biggest things were always said the smallest. The train slowed toward the city. Through the windows, the rain-washed morning came up gold on wet rooftops. Audrey Vance walked toward the vote that would save 600 jobs, carrying 11 years of her life like it was nothing at all. And Nathan Cole stood a while in the empty dining car before his shift ended, looking at 2 paper cranes on a table nobody would clear for an hour yet. One made by expert hands, one made badly by a man learning, late, that the right words spent at the right cost are worth everything they take from you. He thought about Sarah. He thought about how her mother had been right, and how he would, when he got home, finally tell her so. Dignity does not shout. His wife had known it. Audrey's father had known it, folding birds on a printing floor for 40 years. And Nathan had spent 5 years mistaking silence for the same thing, when all along the lesson was simpler and harder than being quiet. He picked up the crane he had made, lopsided, honest, and put it in his pocket beside the folded card, over his heart, and went to end his shift. Outside, the rain was gone. The city came on bright and washed and new, and somewhere in it, a small girl with a cough that wouldn't quit, was about to get the machine that would tell them why, because her father had knelt on a cold steel floor in the middle of the night and refused to trade the right thing for the easy one.